Hello, everybody. This is Brian Piergrossi, along here with Jacob Denson. Jacob's been on quite an amazing journey with me. We've been talking about doing this for a long time together, sharing with you guys and everything that's happened. So, hey, Jacob, great to see you.
Hey guys, hey Brian. Thank you very much for having me. Excited about this.
Yeah, so you've been wanting to share with people the transformational journey you've been on and provide a window of inspiration for where other people can go in their lives too. So, why don't we start off by just sharing what your life was like uh, before we met and kind of give people a window of that. And then we'll kind of move forward into the transformations that happened and where you're at now and how people can make this journey themselves. So, yeah, give us kind of a window of where you were at. What was it, 4 years ago?
Um, well, I mean, we met probably about 3.5 years, or a little over 3 years ago. I think it was summertime of 2018. Um, and I was in a really stuck place. Um, I'd been addicted to opioids like pain pills, um, for since like my mid 20s. I'm 36 now. Um, and I was really wanting freedom. Like I was feeling, um, I was feeling called to freedom from this. It wasn't what I wanted. It wasn't what I chose. I feel like it's just something that happened to me. It was an experience that I went through. And later I realized that I had to go through it. It was an experience that I chose to go through, um, in order to understand where other people are at, um, and to inspire people to change, like just seeing where I've come. Um, and it was, I ended up in a methadone treatment clinic, and that's where I was at, like in the thick of it when I met you. And I met you through a Facebook group that I was a member of, um, Universal Awakening, and you were doing a podcast with the creator of that group, and I felt this like connection to you. And then I found out, you shared, if you're feeling, um, if you want to reach out, I'm here to help. And you shared your information, and I found out that you were in Asheville, and that's where I'm at. So it was just kind of like really, aligned perfectly, and I was ready for change. And um, I felt this connection to you and realized that, I could benefit from having a relationship with you. So I reached out, and I think we ended up meeting the next week. I came out to your place, which is only about 10 minutes from my place, and I shared with you like where I was at, um, how I was like really not satisfied with where my life was, and that I wanted growth, and that I could see myself in a different life. Um, and then we, continued working together. We've been working together ever since. And I've really awakened to like spiritual realization, self realization, and I feel like, the stars just aligned for me connecting with you, and you guiding me like to this place, um, that I wanted to be, that I knew I could be, but I didn't realize how to get there. Right. And I remember one of the things, one of the first questions you asked me was, if anything's possible, what do I want to create? And, be crazy about it. Like, don't hold back. And, um, also don't worry about how you're going to get there. Which is a big, something that can get you choked up. If you start thinking about too much, um, of how you're going to get somewhere that seems impossible. Like when I think I had been in methadone treatment for like 3 years when I met you, and, I was on a really high dose, and they were telling me that I expressed to them that I wanted to come off, and they were telling me it was going to take 3 years. And that place that I was at, just so clouded and not thinking clearly, not seeing clearly. 3 years seemed impossible, like a journey that I couldn't even start. So really grateful for connecting with you, and you kind of like shining light on my power as an individual, as a sovereign being, like being able to choose what I want, and make decisions for myself instead of kind of just letting life lead me. I realized that I could lead my life. And I say I.
Nice.
Go ahead. Sorry.
No, it's all right. You said I,
Yeah.
but
So I say I, but I've just recently started reading a book that you gave me. I think you gave me this book on our first or second meeting,
yeah,
A New
yeah.
Earth by Eckhart Tolle,
Hmm.
and I just started reading it this past week actually. And he's talking, I'm just in the beginning chapters, and he's talking a lot about the ego, and like I is the ego, and like releasing that, and just realizing what the ego is. So I say I, but I don't mean like me here, my physical form, like Jacob. I mean like what I am beyond this. Like I feel like um
Spiritual connection.
spiritual, yeah,
Yeah.
spiritual connection, like God. I am God, God is me.
Mhm.
Um universe, source. Um and that's what I mean when I say I, like this beyond.
So when we after you first reached out, we first got together, you were like having trouble showing up consistently. Like you would kind of disappear for some weeks. And so talk about that, like what was happening there for you, because I think that's like common thing that people come up against, and some people like you move through it, and some people seems like they don't move through it. At least they don't move through it, in that time frame. So what was happening for you as far as like the block of like showing up consistently?
I think probably the main thing was fear.
Mm-hmm.
um, Fear of growth, fear of the unknown. Um, and another thing was like where I was at with like in the dependency, in this
Mm-hmm.
addiction. Like
Yeah.
um, it was really hard for me to have any kind of consistency or set any kind of schedule and show up. Like even with work and clients, it's like everything was just so scattered, and I couldn't make sense of it. I just didn't have a clear focus um, in my mind. It was just like such a disarray, just um, unable to focus.
Mm-hmm.
And when the more I started showing up consistently, um, the more changes, the faster. It was like the snowball effect, right? I
Mm-hmm.
started showing up. We started talking. I started working through my stuff, um, getting guidance. And once I started doing that consistently, that's when like the big change started happening. And I think it was January of 2020 when I started my first mastermind group with you, and really like realized that um, I can. That's when I started titrating off methadone, and I'd been talking about it for years, and actually tried it and dropped 15 milligrams, and like started withdrawing so bad and was so scared of that feeling that I went straight back up and stayed there for another year. Um, and
But what is this fear? Because it's a common fear, right? It's like someone's like, "Hey, your life is what you want to have a better life, like you can have a better life, and just like do this, you can have a better life, just show up consistently every week, you can have a better life. And like, what is that fear that people come up against of like they're afraid of having a better life?
I think maybe I'm trying to get clear on it right now, but um, focusing on too much of the how,
Yeah.
like focusing too much on
Right.
how I'm going to get there. Like when I'm like down here, I want to be up here,
Yeah.
and just feeling, the feeling of stuck and,
Yeah, because you're
you know,
feeling like when you're in that space, you're feeling like disempowered,
for
right?
sure.
You're feeling like a failure. You're feeling like low self-worth, low self-love. So like, how do you get out of that space? And then you feel like you don't have the wherewithal inside yourself to do it. So yeah, that makes sense. And I think like people also, it's a crazy thing, but we just can't, there's this thing is where we fear change, even if it's like really positive, good change, where people get comfortable with like the way things are, even if the way things are miserable and terrible. It's like, well, at least I know like this misery, where stepping into this like amazing life. Well, I don't know what that's like because I never experienced that, so that's scary for me.
Yeah, for sure. And, another thing was like I was in a really, I was broke. I didn't have like steady income coming in, and I was struggling to pay bills. And, that's, something that you and I ended up, talking about, and you ended up working with me, and I was able to, come see you and, kind of pay you later kind of thing. And then like, as I started doing more of that, like
Yeah.
everything started getting better. Like the
Yeah.
more that I started putting into, my growth, the more
Yeah.
effort, the more I started realizing changes, and the better I got with making commitments and with
Hmm.
work and clients and showing up, and, um, integrity, and more work started coming in, and life started getting easier. And, it's like everything just started falling into place. Um, yeah,
Yeah, that's another great point, because a lot of when people are in that space that you're initially in, they generally, usually, there's exceptions for sure, but a lot of people aren't doing well financially either. So then that's another fear of like, well, how am I gonna pay for this? How am I gonna? It's not, and it's not about the money. It's about supporting people to make a positive impact in people's lives, to create a better world, to create a more beautiful world together. So for me, like, I'm definitely open to working with people, finding something that works for the person. And also, there is this thing about um, energetic investment,
yeah,
right? And when people are invested financially, they tend to take it more seriously,
for sure.
right? So there's that balance of like, um, that's not what's most important, and it's also important.
Yeah,
It's
it's
like,
a, it's, it's an exchange of energy too.
because I
Like
because I
like
think I
you're,
think yeah, people don't get that. Like, some people just like, hey, why can't we just like hang out, and like, it's because it wouldn't work in the
yeah,
same way, you know. And
for
also,
sure.
there's a thing of like, we're making this time, an hour, in our case it's like an hour a week, we're making this time, and this is a time to be like fully present together, you know. We're not going to be like watching TV, we're not going to be like listening to whatever, we're not going to be at a bar or something, or we're just going to be like fully in a field of complete presence together. It's almost like a meditative state, really, is what it is. And so I think that many people don't have that state at all in their life. They don't have anybody that will just be fully present with them in that way, and like fully listen to them in that way. And when you have that space, that alone is like really healing and transformative. And it requires you to like energetically invest in making that space for yourself. So it's kind of two things. There's like the time and and related to that is the financial part. So the time is like, I'm making this space for myself, every week, which people kind of get in this state of like, oh, I got other important things to do, but then it's like, but then they realize, well, actually, this is the most important thing because this makes everything else better in my life. This is like my um, uh, investing in my own personal health and well-being and growth and evolution, and as you said, like spiritual evolution, psychological, emotional development. So yeah, it's really becomes the foundation. You realize that it's the foundational element of everything else, and like self-care is important to make time for every day as it up levels every other aspect of your life. So yeah, so we got past that hurdle. It was interesting, and then you started like really honing in and like coming every week and making it a priority and loving it. And yeah, and then the mastermind. So tell people about the mastermind. I'll just give a little bit of a setup. So the mastermind was something that I started with 5 people so it's the personal sessions you were doing for a while, and then we did a group of 5 that were meeting every week. And what was that experience like for you to be in the mastermind group?
So that was that's where like huge transformation started taking place. Because like the main thing was like about the mastermind was setting goals and like being accountable, taking the steps each week. We met once a week for around an hour, sometimes a little more. And everybody got to share, where they were at, what they wanted to create. And each week we would give like intentions for how we're going to get to this goal that we set. And that's when I like really I was still at 160 milligrams of methadone every day, and I set the intention for dropping I think 5 milligrams or maybe 10 the first week, and I did it. Like I know that I'm coming back next week and I'm going to share my process of like setting the intention and did I reach my goal? Did I do it? And so I dropped. I remember dropping, and it was okay. And then I dropped again, and then COVID came, and I was having to go into the clinic every day except for Sunday to get my medicine. And when COVID came, it was like a blessing, like with the methadone clinic, because they started sending me home with 2 weeks worth at a time. And it was liquid, and I would take a little syringe like you give a baby medicine, and I would take a little bit out, and then I would take my medicine every morning. And at first I had no idea how much I was pulling out. I just take a little bit, and it's only a little tiny amount. 160 milligrams was a big amount, but it's in a little bottle. And I was doing that for probably a month or 2, and didn't even really notice, couldn't even really tell that I was decreasing my intake. And then I like drew lines and on the bottle and like did the math and figured out like how many milligrams that I was not doing. And it was like 30 milligrams, I think, within a couple months. And I was like astonished, like, what? Like I tried this a couple years ago and dropped 15 milligrams and was suffering so bad, and it scared me, and I had to go back up. And so doing it that way, kind of blindly, was amazing. And I started doing that every week, like just taking more and more out. And I started feeling like withdrawals, but my head started opening up. Like I started expanding. I could feel like clarity and focus coming into my awareness. And I started craving that more and more. So I would, I would have withdrawals, hot flashes, cold, cold chills, really antsy and moving, and just not sleeping well. But I started getting this clear focus in my head and started craving that every week. And I forget how long that first mastermind was, but then I think we had maybe a 2 or 4 week break in between.
How many masterminds have you been in with me now?
I think I think I'm in the 8th right now.
Awesome.
I think I'm in my 8th mastermind right now.
And I think this one's the best one yet, wouldn't you say?
For sure, man. This is like,
Keeps getting better and better.
it keeps getting better and better, and I'm like
Mhm.
creating more easily than ever before, like what I want
Mhm.
my life to be and my reality to
Yeah.
be.
Yeah. I think in the mastermind, that sense of accountability with a group is really powerful. So
Yeah,
like
it fuels you.
yeah, you're sharing what your intention is for the following week, and all these other people that are supportive, that are on the same path of up leveling their lives and awakening to their own self-realization, self-actualization, and you're kind of getting to know them more and more. They're getting to know you. So it's kind of like this really powerful thing where like you want to do it for yourself, but then you kind of want to do it for them too. You know?
Absolutely. It
Yeah,
empowers, it not only empowers me, it empowers them too,
yeah,
from
yeah,
seeing, seeing anybody improve or grow or
yeah,
evolve,
yeah, yeah. It
empowers you. It
inspires.
inspires
Everyone's inspiring each other.
for sure.
It's a powerful thing. Yeah, it's awesome. So
And
let's go ahead.
another huge thing is the support, getting the
Yeah,
support where I had like burnt every bridge, every relationship, with family, friends, clients. And, first, that person being you, like just accepting me where I was at, and being willing to, sit for an hour and like work with me and show me a
yeah.
better way. And then the mastermind, other people, that are accepting me and supporting me and not judging me,
Mhm.
was huge.
I think it's like accepting somebody. It's like accepting somebody where they're at, and it's like, and I see where you're gonna go. You know,
Right.
the combination of that together is that's what it takes. And to somebody to see that in you, to see where you're at, and to see like where you're gonna go. Where the potential is for you to go, what's
Right.
possible for you. Because some people might like accept where you're at, like your maybe at the time like your friends that were like into the drugs and stuff that you were into, they might accept where you're at, but they don't see like where you can go,
Right.
you know so like that combination, I think, is yeah, that's what we do. That's what makes the difference. Yeah, beautiful. So let's just touch on a couple other things before we close out. So one is the breathwork workshops that you've been to, and then the retreat that you've been to.
Yeah.
So why don't we start with the breathwork workshops? Like, what was that experience like for you? That's me
Breath
and
work.
Annie, by the way, my fiance Annie.
Yeah. You and Annie, love both you guys. And the breath work is huge just in connecting with like my higher self,
Mm-hmm.
like, God, spirit.
Mm-hmm.
Um, just the information that comes through um, during breath work. You can um, it's just phenomenal. It's hard to explain really unless you have done it before or experienced it. But for me, um, I feel I think I've done 3 different um, breath works with you guys. I missed a couple from being sick, but it's um, it's a feeling of like euphoria and um, like I'm trying to think here, like the best way to put it. Um, I'll just talk about the last one that I experienced. It
All
was
right.
different than the ones before.
They're always
Um,
that's one important thing. It's always a different. Like you're always getting the medicine you need if you went
Always
through a
different,
breathwork
yeah.
journey. Yeah.
Yeah, always different. And like before, the first ones that I did, I would feel these emotions come in, and I would feel like a lot of sadness um, from like my past would come up, like these emotions, and just like letting them out immediately, just like sobbing and just like cleansing and feeling so uh, I don't know, just taken care of, I guess. And anyways, this last one that I did with you guys, like I saw all this stuff like in my past, in my life. I felt it all, and like just didn't, like, emotions didn't come out immediately. And I was thinking like, what's going on? Like, because that's one of like the best parts is like just purging all this shit, getting all this stuff out. Um, and then I started realizing, relationships where I felt like I wasn't loved, or I wasn't taken care of, or I wasn't this or wasn't that. And then this realization came to me that I have all I need within me. Like, I love myself. I take care of myself. I give myself what I need, and just felt this huge, like, presence of, everything, creation, God, spirit, like, inside of me. Like, and I feel like it's inside of everybody, that is here, to totally sustain us and give us what we need. And we don't need other, we don't need other people to give us what we need, or to fill spaces in us. It's all within us. Um, and that's like the huge thing that came through for me last time.
Beautiful. And then you went to your first retreat with
First
us
retreat,
in
yeah,
September.
which
That
was
which was a weekend event.
yeah,
Yeah, what was
just a
that like?
2 day event. Gosh, man, it was powerful. It being around, being in that atmosphere with other people, um that are on this spiritual journey, was huge, just in like seeing my potential, like seeing what's out there for me, and just realizing and knowing that anything's possible. Um and um yeah, just the meditate, just everything about it. There's the meditation, the practices that we did, um just really opened me up to realizing really that anything is possible, and that we can get to a place, within ourselves, and um, and we can create, we can make decisions, and surround ourselves with the people that we want to be with, and the people that
Mhm.
are helping propel us forward. Um,
It's like having a sense of like living in the. It's like you're living in a sense with a sense of community,
right,
together, and everyone's in this space of authenticity and being present in the moment together. And yeah, it was a really powerful weekend.
for sure. Vulnerability and humility are huge too. As
Absolutely,
far as like
100%. Yeah.
growth and expanding, like letting go of shame and fears, like letting go of that stuff is where like huge growth and evolution happens.
Hmm. Well, really grateful that you made this journey, and it's inspiration to me to be working with you for close to 4 years, and to just observe the transformation and your dedication and commitment to your own transformation. And I think, yeah, this is going to be an inspiration to a lot of other people who feel stuck and feel um, that there's no future for themselves, that they can make a change. And it's just a matter of really just saying yes to it. The support is there when people say yes to it, and they make the commitment to it. And like you said, don't get too caught up in the how, but just take that next step, that next step, and that next step. And the how, as I always say, the how comes second. The how will reveal itself. And also giving it time. People kind of want like these like instant changes these days. It's not going to work like that. We're talking about, in your case, we're talking about, several years, and now we're almost into 4 years. And um, yeah, it's being patient and doing the right, and being on the right track, and the changes come. And then it's just, it almost seems miraculous uh, when it happens, but then you kind of see, looking looking back, like, you know, it was taking those little leaps. And I think having that consistent support of a coach, a mentor, you know, a teacher, someone that gets to know you and gets familiar with you, and you're sharing that journey with you, and someone that's walked the path before you, that is, it's like an investment in yourself, you know. It's like to make that commitment with somebody. It's a sign of self-love. So it's been a great inspiration. Grateful. Any last words that you want to share before we end this?
Yeah, I'm very grateful, like, for where I'm at. Like, I'm grateful for everything in my past that put me here. Grateful for you. And I feel like I I chose to go through all my sufferings and struggles so I can help other people, like, so I can understand, and have compassion for, you know, where somebody's at, where it's really hard for other people who haven't been there to have, you know, that level of compassion and give that level of support. So I feel like I am, you know, I went through all of, you know, my past so I can help other people. And that's my goal. And this is like the first step to doing that, is like getting this, you know, first little part of the story out. And I feel like there's just going to be a whole lot more to come, you know, as far as me speaking and sharing. And if I can help anybody, you know, that sees this, just please reach out. And it's my intention to inspire people and give support.
Fantastic. Yeah, we'll have some contact info, and I'd also share with everybody, if you'd like me to work with you and you're interested, feel free to reach out, and we'll make a chance to chat and talk about ways that I can support you as well. All right, Jacob.
Thanks, Brian.
Appreciate you, brother. Yeah.
Appreciate
Thanks everybody for listening, and we look forward to hearing from you.
Peace.